We'll get started here shortly. Just give me one moment. All right. All right, here we go. This is once again a quick look at some pay what you want and free RPGs and RPG accessories sort of thing. People seem to like these, so I do them from time to time. It's basically stuff that I round up during my usual RPG news roundup. So I go ahead and select whatever catches my eye. And when I get enough of them to cover for an hour or two, then I go ahead and talk about them for a little while. So give me one moment, and we will start. As always, this is probably going to be weighted towards like OSR and D&D stuff, just because that catches my eye more often than not. That, and because that is the kind of thing that is the most common material available on DriveThruRPG, is where I get the vast majority of this stuff. As always, I will put links in the chat. I need to start putting affiliate links on these things. I really do. In fact, I'm going to do that tonight. Give me a moment. I'm going to copy-paste my affiliate link in there because people look at this stuff all the time. Alright, give me a minute. I am having an interesting week. I just uploaded 9 more Let's Play episodes, for 3 from Pool of Radiance on my secondary channel and 6 for Fallout 2. They should be going live over the coming weeks. Although I think I'm pretty... I got a pretty big backlog on the Pool of Radiance stuff on the secondary channel. And then I've got a quick flip through of some physical copies of the Maximum Mayhem Dungeon stuff. Now, I know I've covered them a few times on my channel already. I don't want this to become like the Maximum Mayhem Dungeon stuff, but they were kind enough to send me a bunch of stuff to look at. I will probably be putting that video live either Sunday or Tuesday, because they actually have a Kickstarter for reprints of their stuff, so I thought I'd go ahead and cover it. So, we will start off with something called Elemental Motes, Creatures for 5th edition. It is a 5th edition offering, and let me pop up the page. It is a pay what you want 5th edition offering called Elemental Motes, which are tiny CR 1/4 creatures for 5th edition, all based around elementals. So let's take a look. This one's going to be pretty quick. I just thought it was... I don't need... Why do I have an external drive connected? How did I get an external drive connected? My USB cable just told me there was an external drive connected, but there's nothing connected. That's not good. That's not good. Alright. So, here's what I got. Elemental Motes are tiny elemental spirits. Pretty much why I downloaded it. Often created by powerful spellcasters, motes are bound to protect whatever source of elemental energy they were created from. What this reminds me vaguely of is the elemental vermin from AD&D 2nd edition. I think it was... I think it might have been Spelljammer of all things. But they had these things called elemental vermin, which were like tiny little creatures. Elemental motes cannot be summoned through the Conjure Minor Elemental spell. That is sad, because that spell already needs more utility. Or any way other than the spell create elemental motes. Oh, they've got a secondary spell in here specifically to create these things. Alright. Create Elemental Motes is a 4th level conjuration spell. Casting time 1 hour. Components 400 gold, which the spell consumes. You touch an elemental source or something connected to the elemental source. As you do, the native energy trapped into the element coalesces into an elemental being bound to the location. You can treat up to 10 square feet, and you can bind 1 mote per 5 square feet up to a maximum of 4 motes at 4th level. At 4th level. This is a 4th level spell. Oh, it's got a higher levels. You can increase the area treated by 5 square feet. But it doesn't say and the maximum number of motes. So I'm presuming that that is supposed to go up. So whoever's doing this should probably make a note of that. I know it's kind of inane, but 5th edition works that way. So you can actually increase in the spell write-up the area of effect, but not do like a increase the maximum. And read as written, then it will never increase the maximum, even if the intention was. So that needs to be changed, probably. So let's take a look at the mote stats. All right. So it just tells you what the mote is about. CR 1/4. Although it's got 5d4 hit points. Only 12, though. 5d4 hit points? That's got to be a typo. Give me a second. 4d4 plus 4. No, that's correct. I don't understand 5th edition challenge ratings. They're all over the place. Let me make sure I got live chat on so that it keeps turning it off on me. Yeah, it's got it on. So I was going to ask, anybody else finds that the CR in 5th edition is just all over the place with regards to describing creatures? Because I have so many instances where I've had a relatively high CR creature just get completely wrecked by a party of much lower level, whereas a relatively lower CR creature does just way more, gives them way more trouble. Because don't they just only base it on like hit points or something? I don't know. The CR is all over the place. Anyway, you got 12 hit points, which is okay, but kind of small for 5d4 hit points. Yeah, 5d4 is supposed to be what? 4 times 3, that's 12 plus 4. Yeah, that's low hit points there. They're not doing it right, at least I don't think they are. Alright. Water breathing, invisible in water. That's understandable because it's a water elemental type. Water form, that means it can move through spaces. Frozen form. If the water mote takes cold damage from any source, its body hardens in areas, forming ice crystals in its body. Until the water mote takes fire damage, or completes a short or long rest, it's subject to the following effects. All lash attacks made by the water mote deal piercing damage instead of bludgeoning, due to the lash forming with ice crystals embedded in the end, and deals an extra 1d4 cold damage. So what you do is you pop one of these water motes, and then you freeze it, and then it does more damage. Although that reduces its speed. And then it's got a heated form. If the water mote takes fire damage, then the water begins to boil, and it deals extra fire damage and moves faster. So it's actually more useful to drop like a small... The only problem is that the water motes got well, they're immune to fire and cold. Okay. So you create a bunch of water motes, and then you like burning hands them, and then they do more damage and run around and move faster. That's not bad. That's kind of neat. All right, how's the fire mote do? It's got slightly more hit points. Bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. They are resistant to a lot of non-magical stuff. I like that. Can enter hostile creature space. Flame body. If the fire mote takes fire damage from any source except for another fire mote, it regains hit points equal to the damage dealt. See, that except for another fire mote thing here is kind of important, because otherwise you could just create a swarm of fire motes and they just heal each other. If this takes the fire mote beyond its hit point maximum, it gains temporary hit points equal to the remaining damage and grows one size category to small. Any additional fire damage the fire mote takes while this feature is active gives it more temporary hit points. When the fire mote's temporary hit points reduce to 0, it shrinks back to its original size. That's kind of neat. Once again, it's more useful for people with fire-based spells. Because you can drop a bunch of fire motes and then fireball them. And then they all get big. It does not look like it's got the ignite effect that some fire elementals have. However, it does have a ranged attack, which is kind of useful, even with a relatively short range. Alright, 2 more to go. 2 more to go. Earth motes. That's more hit points than the rest. Is vulnerable to bludgeoning, though. Although I see how they did there. The others were resistant to piercing and slashing and bludgeoning of magic weapons. This one's immune to all, or this one's resistant to piercing and slashing, even if they're magical. But it is vulnerable to bludgeoning. That's not bad. The Earth Mote's body is made from earth that surrounds it. While the Earth Mote is under the ground, it cannot be targeted by attacks. It is considered to be in full cover. It's not too bad. Hey, and they gave him a little ranged attack, stone throw. So you can make this tiny little elemental that just chucks pebbles at people. That's cute. If you're wondering why I'm drinking like 2 things of water here, is because I'm trying to decide which tastes better. I think my water filter may need to be changing. Need to be changed. All right, air motes. The air mote, resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, but it doesn't say from magical weapons. It, however, is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. That's kind of brutal for a fourth CR creature. All right, that's how it gets away with 6 hit points. I still don't understand how they calculate this. I mean, I guess because it's got -1 Constitution. The air mote is made of air, and as such it is hard to see. Any creature with a passive perception of 14 or less makes attacks against air mote at disadvantage due to not knowing where it is. Oh man, I got a funny thing. I threw an invisible stalker against my supporter D&D 2nd edition game recently. I don't think that they realized what it was, even after I put it on the combat tracker. I mean, eventually they did when they saw the name, but it took them a while to figure out just what they were getting attacked with. There was no way for the group to see it, so they had to like basically guess where it was and swing blindly. Anyway, back to this one. The air mote can make 2 attacks, one with its air scythe and one with its gust. Air scythe is a melee attack, and gust it pushes them away. So a tiny creature can use a gust as part of a multi-attack and shove them 10 feet away, unless they make a dexterity saving throw. Like, except for the hit points, these things seem a little bit OP for their challenge rating, but I kind of like that. Alright, that's not bad. All that was a pay-what-you-want offering from, let's see who it's by. I didn't even see who it's by. They don't even tell you in here. Here's a friendly tip. Osrin's Oddments. Here's a friendly tip. Put a little blurb on the inside about who it's from. I mean, I'm not sure I would pay a lot for that, but it's pay what you want. And if you found yourself using it in a long-term campaign, you know, there you go. Anyway, I will put a link to this in the chat. That's Elemental Mote. Next is Bring It On, which is... I gotta see what this is. I forget and I just looked through it. Bring It On is a short adventure for levels 2 to 4 characters. Whilst en route to somewhere the PCs are... This is not badly edited, it's just a run-on sentence. Give me a moment. because we will take a look at the actual adventure here. Bring it on. It is from Geek Stable. Whilst en route to somewhere, the PCs are on board an airship. You need a comma in there. The airship is suddenly attacked and forced to crash land in a dark forest. In order for the ship to be repaired, the PCs are tasked with journeying to a nearby ruined temple to find some lead from the stained glass windows. Easy enough. Then a dryad army, an undead vampire, a lich, a suicidal ghost, and a maze made of fog get in the way. This is for levels 2 to 4, mind you. I like the cover art. I like how they got a suit of armor here, but it just all that does is remind me of the Dark Souls or the Demon Souls dude wearing fluted armor. Oh yeah, the maps in this one. All right. So the authors are Guy Sklanders, who has a How to Be a Great Game Master on YouTube. I have not checked that out. I probably should. And then the maps are from Dungeon Fog, a battle map maker. So we shall see how they look. I think the maps are actually pretty decent in this, if I remember right. So it starts with you aboard an airship. So you've got NPCs aboard the airship. The fog breaker. It gives you a little bit of time to talk to them. And then the PCs... It's important to keep track of the fog breaker's stats. The ship is hit and goes down. If the PCs try to steal the ship, have the crew overpower them and maroon them in the woods. I guess they're level 2 to 4. I guess that works. The captain should point out the following. The ship is making good time. They're passing over a farce known as Bright Glade Wood. The cook has prepared a rabbit stew for dinner. So this gives you time to talk with the NPCs. Then suddenly a black beam of pure evil magical energy bursts through the clouds from somewhere below and slams into the fog breaker, sending crews sailing through the air. You get the check to make sure they don't fall. You get to try to regain control of the ship. It's no good. The controls are unresponsive. The ship begins to plunge from the skies. So it says it's a crash landing, but really they get shot down. All PCs take 1d6 impact damage. I bet that would. I know they boosted the hit points on people in 5th edition, but I still have a character that even at 2nd level that would have killed. So they put you down in the wood. The crew mostly survived. Out of the 15, they're down to 10, so you already got 5 people dead right away. So the Captain Keynes puts the PCs at watch while they attempt to assess the damage. And as soon as they do, they're attacked by a Dryad Leaf Beast. Constructs. Why are they... Alright, so these leaf beasts are subject to the control of some dryads. Alright. So I guess they're like thornies. Death Dryad. It's just a dryad that's evil. I think the best part about this module so far are the maps. Props to Dungeon Fog. These maps are nice. And I usually don't... Here's the thing. My battle maps... Give me a minute. Like, the maps I use when I'm running things are terrible. Like, here's a sketch pad where I've got some maps for my supporter stream. Let me maximize this real quick. Alright, give me a moment. Come on. There we go. Alright. So, I need to set up another thing. I just do like I just do like really crap hand-drawn maps. This is a map I've done recently for something I'm running on. And yeah, it's a little bit stained because I tend to eat lunch while I'm running the games. Yeah, this is just like the kind of like really just straightforward kind of map. This is like a map of a keep with a 3-level keep and then like a 7-level tower. So my maps are usually very, very simple. Like I think I've got one for what I'm running, like the dungeon they're in right this instant, which is like I've got 2 levels of it on this page, and then I've got a 3rd level on another page. Just real simple stuff. They're in like a step pyramid. So when I see a battle map like this, oops, where it's like full color and stuff, I'm easily impressed, shall we say. Yeah, that's kind of why. That's kind of why I do it. It's like I like saying I like to adjust the details on the stuff as I go, and that makes it much easier for if you've got a group that has a tendency to change the battlefield by lighting it on fire or something. Not that I'm pointing any fingers at anybody. Then it's easier to note it on like a hand-drawn map. But at the same thing, there is something to be said for like a really nice, like a few really nice encounter maps to set the mood. In fact, instead of a battle map, I had a Tomb of Annihilation thing, which I've still got to take off the channel. I'm going to take that off the channel pretty soon. But when I was running Tomb of Annihilation, I had a battle map for the camp, like a standard battle map for the camp. And that's the sort of thing that I would do a lot of detail on, maybe. Or that I would like to see a lot of detail on, because that would come up like constantly. Yeah, I'm kind of torn because I like detailed battle maps, or I shouldn't say detailed. I like these beautiful artwork battle maps, but at the same time, they've given me way more trouble than they're worth. All right, so chapter 2 of this is the forest. They decide to seek out the dryad that sent the dryad creatures out there. They meet a madman dryad who begs them for help. Okay. A madman dryad. I don't think madman is I don't think that's I don't think that's an appropriate term for a female dryad, because she is female right here. If the PCs get her to talk. So I think what happened here is they were going to put the PCs make an insane dryad, but they can't really use the term insane anymore in some things. So instead it's a madman dryad, which somehow seems worse. Terminology. So you got an undead tree. With a crazy dryad in a cemetery who changes what she is thinking or how she's reacting each round. Which I'm going to assume that if you're running this as a proper encounter, that you're not going to roll it every 6 seconds, because that's going to become really annoying. But maybe after every exchange. Minor editing issues aside, this is actually not bad. Strong point's still the map. That is a creepy cemetery. Yeah. That is not a bad cemetery map. Although, again, kind of hand-drawn does it, because some of these, like there's a mausoleum here or whatever, and I kind of want to see the inside of the mausoleum. Is there an internal map somewhere? No, there's not. Okay. So, Octavia Greybrace, an evil undead. Whatever the PCs decide to do as they are leaving the cemetery area, they notice a single tombstone that remains intact. Inlaid into the stone are 3 precious rubies. The tombstone reads, Octavia Greybrace. She lived over 300 years. 1023 to 1354. 3 red drops of blood, all she needed, yet never got. Why did they find her? Why didn't I save her? Sleep now till the blood comes. Okay. So if... here we go. Sleep now till the blood comes. If any PC tries to take a ruby, because it's a trap by temptation, then they have to make a save or cut their finger. However, that has no bearing on whether or not this woman wakes up, because the ground shudders and shakes regardless, and this woman comes up here, and she is I guess she's a weak vampire? No, she's not a weak... She's like a unique undead. Did it say vampire in the description? Yeah, it says an undead vampire. But she's CR 1/2. And she doesn't drain blood. She can turn into fog. Oh, wait. Here we go. Each time she hits a PC or other living creature, she gains 1d6 hit points permanently. So she can get real beefy real quick. This map just seems unnecessary. It's beautiful and all, but it's just what a 20 foot by whatever foot corridor. That map just seems extraneous. Man, that reminds me. I was running my 5th edition Black Ridge Barony OSR inspired game, and they're in this standing stones area that's based on Stonehenge. And one of them asked me for a map, like a battle map, and just so they could quote unquote find cover. And I was like, "Do you have any idea how big this site is?" But I was on Fantasy Grounds, so I was like, "Okay." And I sketched out the map, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize how big that site is." I was like, "Well, yeah, it's nothing but open ground outside of these standing stones." So they ended up with this like huge battle map that they had to zoom in on. It was funny. Alright. Oh, Cathedral Ruins. This is a completely different style of map. This is more, almost OSR style almost, except not quite. I feel like the Nave Ruins... Is this supposed to be grass? Like, these crosshatches are supposed to be grass, I think. Except not really. I'm sorry, I'm quickly reading through this. There's a trap. Hold on a second. Let me take a look. I think I skipped something. So the PCs explore this cemetery. They get sent into these catacombs. You've got a cathedral, like a ruined cathedral. And then in the cathedral, they've got to cross a trapped floor. It gives you rules for getting them across the trapped floor. Gives you an example for how to run it because it's using a concept from 4th edition, which is the skill challenge. And then if the PCs trigger the trap, doors close. So the chapel is there's one final encounter in here. And they can be caught in the area before it. And I'm trying to make sense of this trap. At the same time, the walls on either side begin to grind forward. In horror, you realize the statues are designed to pierce, slash, or mangle everything inside the catacomb. So I'm not even on this Cathedral Ruins thing right now. I'm still on this. So this entire talk about a trapped floor is all about this seemingly extraneous map. So I guess it's not quite as extraneous as I thought it would be. Because right here, they have to figure out what to do because the statues come and try to crush them. Alright, and then the Sepulchre. Got an insane guardian, a skeletal guardian. The not trap. What the hell? Alright, I'm going to read this part. The Guardian was once called Thebans the Elder. He will engage in some small talk. He was once a priest of the cathedral a long time ago. When his master arrived and took control of the place, he was bound to serve. He is the guardian of the portal leading to the inner sanctum. No mortal may enter. He is sworn by oath and magic to prevent anyone from doing so. Unfortunately, his master does not trust in his abilities, and so if he dies, there are incantations that will trigger. He doesn't know what, but he is certain it will bring only doom to those who slay him. Hey, what's up? I'm just taking a look at some pay-what-you-want stuff. So this guy offers, if he can claim one of their souls, he can become mortal and escape this place. Then the other members of the party can pass without hindrance and the incantations won't trigger. I know so many parties that would take him up on that. They would be like, yeah, we can draw straws and give you his soul. I always wonder about stuff like that. Because I see it in several adventures where there's like, sacrifice one of your people in order to progress the adventure, but no one ever does. I mean, people in some of the parties I run would, but how many times have you seen that come up and had one of the characters actually do that? Like either sacrifice themselves or sacrifice somebody else in the group. So then they get into the end of the crypt and they face Count Rotz, who is the one that shot down the airship, apparently. Alright. So, if you defeat this guy, or the guy that offered the trade for the soul, then he comes back to tell you the next clue. And if you sacrifice somebody, they come back and tell you the next clue. Okay, I thought this was the finale of the entire thing. Yeah, the final encounter right here. Is it against a lich? Yeah, it's Count Rotz again. He's a level 5 medium undead. Is this the lich? Yeah, this is a really weak lich. I guess it works. He's a 4th level spellcaster. How do you get it to be a lich at 4th level? And then the rest of the adventure is just the battle maps. Man, I don't know. The main draw of this thing is the battle maps. It's an okay adventure, I guess. I've seen worse. That was Bring It On, and I will put a link in the description in the chat. Let me pop it on here real quick. How many of these are we going to do tonight? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1. I got 12 more lined up, like various offerings. Although the last one, I don't know if I'm going to actually look at it because it's like a full-on RPG rule set, and those take a long time. So whether I look at that or not is going to largely depend on how fast I can get through the rest of this. The next is pretty simple. 50 Winter Encounters from Beyond the Horizon. It is suited for Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's only 7 pages long. Although I'm exhausted as ever, man. I got no idea. Anyway, this one, I think it's actually useful for any RPG system, really. But yeah, I woke up at like 6 in the morning. I didn't get to sleep till like 2. And then for some reason, I woke up at like 6:30. So I got like, what, 4.5 hours sleep. And I tried to get to sleep. And literally got a phone call every 15 minutes until like 1 p.m. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to get a nap. And I got stuff to do today. And so I went about uploading all those vids and such, which I put the stuff on. Oh, man. I didn't even remember it was my damn birthday until like 4 p.m., man. And then that made me feel even worse because I'm old now. I was old before, but I'm older now, man. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, just let me fucking sleep, man. 50 Winter Encounters. Oh, to make matters to make matters worse, I got a script to do tonight too. After I'm done here, I got a script. I played my indie game Friday game. This week is Himeko Sutori, and I streamed it last night. And I played a couple hours, but I need way more time in the game in order to see all of the stuff I want to cover in it. So I may end up not doing an indie game Friday this week and putting off next week. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. I don't know. I may play a little bit more tonight later, and then thanks. I appreciate that. Oh, man, it just never stops. You get older and no, don't apologize. It's gonna be up there for a while. I never take this stuff down, man. I wanted to get a lot of Pool of Radiance up quick just so it would be up. Well, okay, so this is like just 50 encounters, and yeah, it says it's for Pathfinder or 5th edition, but this is like literally for any fantasy game. You just roll 1d100 and it gives you like an encounter. So we got walking through the creaking snow. A gust of wind blows through some branches nearby, making a sound like an injured animal. After a second, the sound subsides. That's actually one thing I like to do in my horror games, is make about half of the encounters not actually like run into anything that can be interacted with, just like distant sounds and spooky stuff. A sudden downpour of a mix of hail and snow strikes. It lasts a minute and reduces visibility to 5 feet. Anyone caught without protective gear takes 1d4 bludgeoning damage. The heroes come across a single bloody footprint. There are no others nearby, but this is the only spot in the immediate vicinity with newly falling snow would not cover it. The ground suddenly gives way underneath one of the heroes, determined at random, dropping them into a pool of icy water. It only covers them to the midrim. That's the midriff. Editor, where the hell are you? I need to make like a pop-up thing. Editor, where are you? But they need to get dry and warm quickly or suffer the effects of hypothermia. These are actually neat, but there seems to be a really... I mean, some of them have game mechanic effects. The wind suddenly picks up and blows through the area mercilessly. For the next hour, the temperatures in the area drop by another 30 degrees Fahrenheit due to the wind shear factor. Skyrim. Dude, what was that? The joke was that Skyrim 6 is gonna be like a tutorial section, and then you're gonna get knocked out during the tutorial section, and it's gonna like fade to black. And then it's going to fade up again, and you're going to be in a wagon, and it'll be like, so you're finally awake. Alright, here we go. A wild bear roars nearby. Nothing else happens, and unless investigated, leaves the party alone. If they investigate, they come across a polar bear, and they've got links to an outside site. So they've got links to, like the monster links are just to outside Skyrim 6. Elder Scrolls 6, yeah. I call it Skyrim 6. I am tired, but at this point I think Skyrim 6 would be a viable name for the damn thing. I mean, I'm one to talk. I own like 5 copies, or like 4 or 5 copies of Skyrim. I own it on the Switch, on the PS3, on the computer twice. And I think I had a PS4 version around. Anyway, this is interesting. One of the heroes is hit with a snowball in the back of the head, and they all hear giggling. There are no signs of the attacker, and no one else is hit. A lot of this stuff is just made to creep people out. These encounters. I kind of like that. I mean, it's stuff that I could. It's stuff that I could write. But I kind of like that idea where, like, the vast majority of these encounters are just things to creep people out. Fantasy Fallout 76, Bethesda. Man, but you know I'm gonna buy the next one. I couldn't stand Fallout 4, but I got it. I've got it in 2 different. Well, I will say this. I will say this. One of my patrons was kind enough to purchase me the Fallout 4 complete on the computer, but I had it on the PS4, and I hate it. But I play it from time to time. I like Fallout 2. I'm loving my Fallout 2 Let's Play. But that was before it went Bethesda. Yeah, I almost bought Baldur's Gate. I almost bought Baldur's Gate on the Switch until I realized that I'm old and blind, and I'm not going to be able to read all that text on the Switch. And before you say play it in docked mode, no. No. Yeah, the Fallout 4 I mean, look. Oh, and I put a link in the in the chat to what we just looked at, and that was 50 winter encounters, in case you're wondering. So, for those who liked that one, I know I didn't cover a lot of them, but that was just 50 encounters that were just scripted out like that. It's a nice little one. I'm going to have to play it, just not right now. No, Fallout 4? Yeah. It'll be years from now. All right, the next is an RPG Adventure Ideas collection. So once more, just a book of ideas for people that don't have ideas. Actually, I don't use these books, but I admire their existence. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where I'm not going to use it. Hold on a sec. Technical error here. I actually don't have this. I took it off for some reason. It's from Luke Hart. I have purchased it, but I have not actually downloaded it, so give me a moment. That was weird. Oh no, apparently I do have it. It's just called something else. Adventure Collection. There we go. Okay. Fallout 2 is just awesome. Yeah. Oh no, man. Oh, you know what? Don't buy my book. Look, don't buy my book. I will put a 100% discount link for the patrons. Do not buy my book. I will put 100% discount links for my book in the patron site. The only thing that kept me from doing it was that we had that freeze roll by, and I had a lot of stuff go on the wayside because I was getting like less than. I mean, if you can afford it, go ahead. But I was gonna put 100. I was gonna put all that stuff on the patron site. Like, it's more useful for me if somebody reads it and tells me whether it's good or not before I get my next book together. Useful for when your party inevitably goes off the rails or you are too tired to make things up on the fly. Yes, that is exactly why I like these. I mean, yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. That's why I got the Tome of Adventure Design. I keep pulling this out because whenever anybody asks me about an awesome book for adventure design, I pull out Tome of Adventure Design. I never actually use it, but the fact that I've got it takes a weight off of my shoulders, because that way I know that if I run out of ideas, I can grab it. And the fact that I know that I can just grab it if I run out of ideas actually takes enough stress off of me that I never run out of ideas. That's why I love these like adventure collections and these encounter collections, is because just their existence can help you. Like just their mere existence can help you come up with ideas on the fly, because that way you know that even if you don't, then you can just pop open the book and grab one. It's all good, man. It's all good. Let's see. This one is called the RPG Adventure Ideas Collection, but the PDF was just called Adventure Collection, which is why I couldn't make out what it was. So that was my bad. That was my bad. This is from Luke Hart, and I've covered a couple of Luke Hart's things before. The DM Lair, which I believe is a YouTube channel. All of these YouTubers, like all of these, here's the thing, all of these YouTubers here that I like a good quarter to a third of the stuff that I cover on this quick look thing are from fellow YouTubers. Bigger YouTubers and better YouTubers than me. And it just makes me realize that I really need to get on my backlog of stuff. I've got in process right now. Let me pull out my schedule here. Because I need to get more tabletop stuff out. Where's the... Here, give me a minute. All right, channel 2021 video scheduling. I am currently working on 3 more videos for RPGs for tabletops and taverns. I've got the entire season planned out, but 3 of them are actually in process right now. I've got one about whose story is it anyway, which talks about who's in charge of who's theoretically whose story the RPG game is about. Is it about the players? Is it the DM story that they're telling? Whatever. And I go into like the details on that. And it's funny because another YouTuber that does this kind of stuff put together an RPG thing about, like, is it the DM story? No, it's not. And I kind of came to the same conclusions independently like a while back, and I went into it. I got a video on letting the dice land, when and when not to do it. Basically, when you might want to fudge the dice for somebody, and when you should just let them land. I got a video about not all roads leading to one foe, which is basically a real high level talk about whether you should put like multiple factions or multiple paths to the same enemy in your RPG, or whether you want to have some variety just so it doesn't look like they're being railroaded at stuff. Yeah, see, exactly. When the DM tries to make it their story, the players will introduce a wrecking ball. Yeah. Then I got the rest of season 3 is going to be, and I'm not going to go into all of them in depth, but I got one on expeditions versus day trips, on whether an adventure should be like a full-on many weeks expedition, or whether they can be done in just like a day trip there and back. How to balance risk versus reward. How to handle parties with PCs of different levels. Why you should put money sinks in your games, especially OSR games. How to correct magic item surplus, which is always something I enjoy doing. What happens? What you should do when the PCs win unexpectedly, which has happened, and I've actually been asked for material on that. I got something in about the challenge death spiral, which has happened in a few of my games where I adjust the challenge and accidentally take too many concepts off of them, or too many resources off them, and then they end up not being able to keep up with the challenges. And then my final 2 for this particular season are going to be when to quit a campaign and when to cancel a campaign. So one from the PC, one from the players version, and one from the DMs. So that is all going to be Tabletops and Taverns Season 3. It will be coming quote-unquote soon. I've been saying that for 4 years now. Well, not 4 years. For 3 years and some change now. But I've recently started uploading my Tabletops and Taverns prior to seasons up to Alt Tech. And it's kind of inspired me to pick up that thing again. I've also got some RPG story times, but no, like only a few people watch those. So I will put those up when I feel like talking for like 6 hours. Yeah, I've done that too, where they're basically playing Darkest Dungeon, PnP style. Anyway, I should look at the DM's lair sometime. I meant to the last before. So what this is it's just a series of adventure hooks. And it's only 12 pages, so as you can tell, they're not going to be like really, in depth here. They're divided into tiers. Tier 1, local heroes. Riveting for war. The Frog Smasher Knoll tribe has been aggressively expanding its territory in recent months. First, a clan of elves were wiped out. Then, some worthless variant humans. Some worthless variant humans? What do you mean by a variant human? Do you mean like the... You got like... You... worthless variant humans. I like to think that this campaign setting like divided the humans into those with plus with the extra feet and those with the extra stats, and each one calls each other variant humans. And now the Knolls have set their sights on taking over nearby mines belonging to the Headbasher clan of dwarves. So you basically deal with Knolls. Night of the Hag. The populace of a small town is being driven crazy by nightmares. A night hag and her meanlock minions are responsible. The night hag, of course, is stealing souls. Meanlock minions are like... Or meanlocks are freaking vile. I don't know what they're like now, but God, the meanlock... Let me see. If I remember right, they were in Fiend Folio, I think. Let me check. Were they in Fiend Folio? Or is my mind starting to go? I know my mind's starting to go, but I mean, like, more than usual. Meanlock. Meanlocks were freaking vile, man. No, they're in here. They're in here. From first edition. Meanlocks are small, bipedal creatures about 2 foot tall and covered in black, shaggy fur. Their heads are white, cut with dark ridges. In total, they present a horrid appearance and will cause fear in any person with 4 or fewer hit dice who sees them, thus causing the victim to fall inert to the ground for 5 to 8 melee rounds. And what they do is they live underground and they avoid bright lights. But if their lair, because their lairs are usually sealed, all of their lairs are actually sealed. But if the characters break the seal and then don't kill them, then the meanlocks follow them out. Each mark an adventurer, and then the chosen victim will receive disturbing telepathic messages. The meanlocks could communicate telepathically over a 300-foot range. The messages will vary in content, but the threat will always be the same: that the meanlocks are pursuing the victim relentlessly and intend to make him one of them. So they're basically like gang stalker the creature. Oh man, I need to use those more. I don't know what they are in 5th edition. Oh man, but that's for a level 1 to 4 party. They must have nerfed them in 5th edition. Tier 2, Heroes of the Realm. Ginny and Tonic. I get the feeling that some of the adventure leads were just written down just as puns and then developed later. A goblin named Pickwick found an old moldy boot, and unbeknownst to him, it was the home of a genie who has been trapped there centuries ago by a mad wizard. The genie and the boot. The goblin is now using the genie to take control of his goblin tribe and send them on raiding parties to the local town. The bugbear chieftain who previously ruled the goblin tribe hires the adventurers to take care of Pickwick. So this adventurer this bugbear hires the adventurers. That's a change. You got Truffle in Paradise. A clan of halflings that dwell in the forest have a vibrant and extensive mushroom patch that they grow. This mushroom patch expanded to include a treant who has been dormant for years. Recently, the treant woke up and, under the influence of the hallucinogenic mushrooms growing on its trunk, went on a rampage through the halfling village. It's a treant on shrooms. It's a treant on a bad trip. Yeah, the meanlocks, yeah, they're... I just haven't used them in 5th edition. Okay, that alone That alone was worth me downloading this book. He got a treant on a bad trip that goes on a rampage on the village. Okay. Yeah, so it's got like a page and a half, or it's got a page or so of ideas for everything except for tier 4. Tier 4, levels 17 to 20, Masters of the World. They've only got 2 of these. Number 1, Baldor's Gate. Haha. A powerful lich, Kel Abarez, has shown the path to lichhood by a Baelor and is now indebted to it. In fact, the Baelor wears the lich's phylactery as a ring. The Baelor wishes to establish a kingdom on the material plane and is using the lich to plane shift in demonic minions to help it do so. Okay. Meteor Meltdown. A meteor crashed and has released a deadly plague with a demonic origin. That is like dead simple. Villain, the demon queen of fungi, which is Zugmoy with her serial number filed off. Alright, that's not bad. That's Adventure Collection. I mean, it says 5th edition, but there's no stats in it, so you could use it for, like, almost anything. Like, you could use those for, like, 1st edition games. Let me put a link to that in the chat real quick. Here you go. So, yeah, a lot of these, I couldn't see the link, no, and it didn't give me the option to, like, I don't have the option to approve it. Let me see if I have the option over here. Yes, it's not even giving me the option to approve stuff. Mind you, when I went to go look, so here's the thing. I went to look to try to see if I could find some way to approve your chat. I can't. However, I looked, and there's a bunch of comments that are now in my review, and I'm trying to approve them, and I can't. It's asking me to review these comments, but I can't. It's not letting me approve them. The hell is going on, YouTube? I guess these comments, like, yeah, I guess these comments, I want to approve these comments, like, not even on this video, but just on my other videos, and it's not letting me do it. So thank you, YouTube. You know, if any other platform was as big as YouTube, I might be using it, might more. Or if any other platform was like even close to that. As soon as there's like some serious competition, I'm off. Well, I don't know if I'm off, but I will definitely be dual linking. Okay, anyway, back to the task at hand. The Den of the Iron Pearl. Let me look this up on Drive-Thru RPG. The Den of the Iron Pearl from ASJ. It is a one-shot adventure for 2 to 4 players of levels 1 to 3. It's got a music puzzle, a small dungeon, an isometric map, and it's got a printer-friendly version. But I'm not going to go for the printer-friendly version. I'm going to go for the big version. The big version. Let's take a look at that cover art. Nice, abstract, clean. Probably not going to get a lot of eyes. This is the Den of the Iron Pearl. So this is only 9 pages. Created by, you know what? I should have just kept on going because I can't pronounce that. Andre, son of Jersey. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I shouldn't have even tried. I should have just kept going. The Den of the Iron Pearl is a one-shot adventure for 1 to 4 or for 2 to 4 players of levels 1 to 3. Estimated playtime is 3 to 4 hours. The adventure can take place in any given fantasy setting. The only requirement is that that location must be close to the sea. Players set out on a mission. Set out on a mission, editor. Although I'll give this one credit. To find the treasure of the famous dwarven explorer, Iron Pearl. Arno, an adventurer, makes contact with the players. Has someone recommended them to him? Maybe he watched them in a tavern and decided that he can help them acquiring the treasure. Once the treasure is within his reach, Arno will reach the players. This is a spoiler. Once the treasure is within his reach, Arno will betray the players to keep everything for himself. This reminds me, isn't there a quest in like Dragon Age 2 that somebody does that on? I never finished Dragon Age 2. All right, you take care. You take care. I mean, thank you for watching a little bit. We're going to continue here. So it's got a nice isometric map. It's a small dungeon, but it's small but nice. I don't know how these line up. I think it's like one above the other. Or is it one below the other? I don't know how 3 connects to 4. Let me take a look. Oh, there's a puzzle. There's a puzzle. See ya. Oh, man. Piece of a sandy beach ends with a rock wall that goes into the sea. Near the rock formation stands a trident statue. It must be the place Arno told you about. But there is no one in sight when you arrive there. Alright, to even open the entrance, you have to do like a music. So there's a trident. It's a music puzzle like you'd see in like a video game. And that's great. Except that if you don't have something that will produce notes, this becomes very difficult to run at a tabletop. To open the entrance to Iron Pearl's den, players will have to play the appropriate melody, hitting G-A-D sounds on the trident prongs. The prongs are hollow, and their sounds from left to right are 1F, 2A, 3B accordingly. To recognize the sound of individual prongs, the players need to perform a DC 2 perception test, or DC 10 perception test, or to be proficient in any musical instrument. The key to solving the puzzle is to fill the trident prongs with water in order to change the sound they make. I guarantee you that's a solution that maybe only one of my groups ever would think about. At the bottom of each prong, there is a small hole that lets the water out. Players must block the holes to keep the water in the prongs. Diatonic scale to use with the puzzle is presented below. That is really neat in theory, but I would hate to run that at a tabletop game. Okay. The rock wall hides a secret door. So let me take a look at this. So there's your trident. And a rock wall hides a secret door. Where does the secret door go? I guess it just goes in here. I guess that's the secret door that opens. Alright. Then the main hall. Arno was taken hostage by 4 bandits. He is forced to let them in. They found no treasure. Now they are hostile and desperate. So you face 4 bandits on the way in. 2 floor tiles are loose. One hides a spike pit. The second is an elevator switch. When weighted down, it starts to push the other tile up. It needs the weight of approximately 3 medium humanoids to lift the elevator platform enough for players to get through the opening. So it's like this is a video game puzzle. This is like a weight switch puzzle. I like it, but again, I don't know. That's a little bit more like standard in terms of a puzzle for a tabletop game. When players figure out how the elevator works, Arno will try to convince them to let him go first. He wants the whole treasure for himself. Next is a corridor. Get a random encounter. All right, but the random encounters are: the door is unlocked by pressing a stone with a trident symbol. How is that an encounter? Stone door collapse on the adventurer who tried to open them. So the nature of the door changes based on a randomization table. Spiders. The players are attacked by a swarm of spiders. All right. The vault has a mimic with some pearls and a secret hidden workshop which has some potions and more pearls, except this time with wild magic. I don't know. I kind of like the puzzles, even though one would be a pain to run at a tabletop. It's a short adventure. I like the map. Not so sure on the composition of the adventure itself, though. I guess it's good enough. That was Den of Iron Pearl. I'll put a link in the chat. Anyway, on to my final 5th edition thing. And I should note that even though these are 5th edition, like all of these so far have been 5th edition, most of them have been like applicable to pretty much any edition. So take that as you will. Next is Litwick's Guide to the Forgetful Forest, which is just a location to use in your game. It is 10 pages long, so it's not bad. Yeah, that's the problem with modern stuff, is they're just like, just let me roll on it. Just let me roll on it. And to that adventure's credit, they give you rules for just rolling to figure it out. I like the idea, in theory, of characters having skills that the players don't have, but it makes for lazy role-playing a whole lot of times. And the problem is, it also makes for lazy DMing. I got so used to running like 3rd edition and 4th edition games, where you do a lot of like stat rolling and stuff, that I got out of the habit of like really doing OSR style gaming. And to this day, I still find myself falling back. Well, I'll just make a roll. Just make a roll. And I'm trying to train myself to go more old school on that stuff and ask them, oh, well, you want to look at the altar? Like just today, literally. Well, can we search for secret doors? Where do you search for secret doors? Oh, well, we'll search around the altar. How do you search the altar? See what I'm saying? But before it was just like, oh, okay, just roll a perception check, you know? I'm trying to get out of that. So this is an enchanted forest compatible with any setting. From Madison Nicole. Editor is Elizabeth Price. So if I say, where is the editor on this? You know where the editor is. We'll see if they're a good one. Yeah. Yeah, and sadly, it's like it's made me rely way more on combat than I really need to a lot of times too. Like my stuff right now is so combat heavy, and I want to get out of that, but I keep getting pulled back in. I made a puzzle encounter for the last session of my Black Ridge Barony game. And what it was I remember I mentioned earlier like a standing stone system. What it was like a series of concentric standing stones that have been linked to like some sort of fey realm. And you've got these bloodthirsty goblins that live on the other side. And at dawn and dusk of each day, the realms overlap in that standing circle, so they can come through and then they can go either to the real world or back again. So what I had was the party went into the standing circle, and they just happened, and I didn't plan this at all, but they just happened to spend the transition between day and night. Like they just happen to spend the entire transition of dusk searching around the inner circle where the things overlap. So I had them each roll to see whether or not what side they were on when the sun set. And so they basically got split. So you had, I had intentionally designed it so half of the party was on one side of the split and half was on the other, so that you could see across the split, but you could only really use magic across the juncture worlds. And then I had 24 goblins and 24 wolves. We're going to sweep in on the Fey side, led by a werewolf, and it was going to be this grand thing. But when it came down to rolling to see who was on each side, only 2 people out of like 8 characters ended up being on the side with all the goblins and wolves. So it turned from this kind of, oh my god, it could be challenging and scary, to, oh no, these people are going to get steamrollered. So I gave them a little longer to try to figure out. The whole idea was it was actually kind of a puzzle combat where they were going to supposedly lean on using magic to hit things from across the divides, because the goblins could not fight back. So that was supposed to give them, like, if you make half of the group immune to the monsters, but only able to affect them in a certain way, that counts as kind of a puzzle in and of itself. But all the time that they were supposed to spend figuring that out, instead they spent just kind of dicking around and looking at the stones, like not even bothering to try things out. It was kind of disappointing. They kind of brute forced it. Through tactics, they actually won that fight. And it wasn't 24 of anything. It was 24 goblins and 24 wolves. So it was actually 4 of anything things. They took them out. No one even dropped. That's the thing. No one even dropped. If you wonder, I give my players a lot of credit. Like, they get worried when I throw stuff at them, but I threw that at them and they didn't even drop. Not a single one of them went down to unconscious. They used the tactics, they used what little terrain there was, and they, after I gave them the clue that some of the people on the other side of the divide could use magic across the divide, and I had to basically force that clue to them, they used that to their advantage and they won. Yeah. Yeah, well, it was standing stones. And goblins are short. And wolves can't climb like standing stones. So they got up on the standing stones, and the goblins were trying to knock them down. So they were basically like wrestling goblins on top of these standing stones with a bunch of wolves at the bottom, like waiting to come after them. It was pretty epic. Don't get me wrong. They were frightened. They were frightened, but they won. Anyway, back to this game. Litwick's Guide to the Forgetful Forest. The name's Litwick, explorer extraordinaire. I've traveled far and wide, seeking out some of the most interesting, unique, and sometimes dangerous places in the world and documenting them in my trusty journal. I almost said thirsty journal. From forests that make you wander in circles and forget how old you are to strange monstrosities hanging on stalactites deep underground, I've been there and seen it all. Some people always ask me if I'm afraid of going to these places, and my answer is always the same. Yes. I mean, look at me. I'm 3 feet tall and can't even hold a spoon upright. But if I can make it there and survive, you can too. So come take a gander at my journal of strange and wondrous locales. And I suspect this is supposed to be like the first of a series of like supplements to locations. So the Forgetful Forest, and then 7 encounters to put with them. Forgetful Forest. Is there a map? Is there a map? There is not a map, so it's just location. So the Forgetful Forest is a indeterminate forest, and it's more about the effects. Long ago, a circle of powerful druids were tried for conspiracy against their lord and sentenced to death. The druids, in a bid to save themselves, cast a powerful enchantment over the land. Within a matter of days, the people had forgotten not only what the druids had done, but also of their existence entirely. The druids perished in the Lord's dungeon, victims of their own spell. Ah! Yeah, try to cast the spell of forgetfulness before you get thrown in the oubliette. Otherwise, God, I don't understand. Who are these people in the oubliette? Well, I don't remember, but they must deserve to be down there. Oh, God. Centuries later, the enchantment still lingers over the Lard Forest. Over the Lard Forest. Editor! Where are you? Elizabeth Price, where the hell are you? Anyway, back to the Lard Forest. I'm sorry. Verdant trees, seemingly untouched by time, stand close together in a dense weald of bark and root. Narrow paths twist. You can use the word weald, but you can't make sure that you didn't. That spell check is not a substitute for copy editing. Narrow paths turn and twist and turn through the thicket of trees, leading deeper into the woods. The people local to the surrounding area know that the forest is dangerous and stay away from it at all cost. The legend of the druids has been forgotten to time, recorded only in a select handful of journals hidden deep inside the forest for intrepid adventurers to uncover. No, they'll get hired. Man, I feel bad about pointing out minor... Look, you've watched my videos. You know I can barely speak English as it is. Like, I'm a native Texan, and I can barely speak English as it is. And yet... And I constantly have to remind myself words and such. The word usage and such. But I spent a lot of time as a proofreader and copy editor for my mother's advertising agency back when I was young. So one of my pet peeves is seeing things like that are clearly words that were spell checked but not read. Because what a lot of people will do is they'll pop up they'll say, I'll edit your thing, and they'll make some suggestions on stuff, but by and large they'll just pop it into like a document editor and hit spell check and just look to make sure that the spell check goes off, and then they'll lean heavily on the grammar check. And those are not going to catch stuff like word misuse and such. And typos and such. So, yeah, they stand out to me a bit. Consider rolling or choosing an effect from the Forgotten Forest effects table below when any of the following occur. The characters decide to take a short or long rest. A character fails a wisdom saving throw. At the beginning of an encounter while within the forest. A character suddenly remembers what it was they came into the forest to do. So these are basically memory effects. Rather than having a map with a bunch of like encounter locations, it just gives you memory effects. The trees shiver and shed their leaves, cascading around the characters in a delicate shower. The characters who witness this can make a perception check. The character who makes a successful check will notice that the leaves are guiding them towards their intended objective. The original intent of the characters washes over them in their dreams. Any creature that finishes a long rest in the region must succeed on a wisdom saving throw to gain the benefits of a long rest. Otherwise, they awaken confused, wandering through their memories as their mind struggles to remember why they're even here. Every humanoid creature in the region must make a saving throw or forget the last 48 hours of their life completely. Brutal. Hold on, I dropped my adventure notebooks for my Patreon game and my other games that I'm running. Humanoid creatures of the region must make a wisdom saving throw. I had a setting like this, except it was kind of worse. Well, kind of not worse. It took people a while to forget things, but then like once they stayed, they forgot like their entire lives. One character forgets who their companions are for 1d6 hours. So this is all memory effects. Like some of them return their memories and some of them take their memories. That's kind of brutal. This final part introduces and explains 8 unique events that can happen in the Forgetful Forest or in any setting of your choice. Lonely Lodge. Somewhere deep within the woods lies a lodge, lonely and forgotten by its original inhabitant. The mind-altering magic of the druids has had more than one unforeseen side effect, including the unwitting creation of a sentient house. While not wholly malicious, the Lonely Lodge has just wanted someone to stay with it for eternity, someone to keep it company. It appears as a gently glowing beacon of light in the forest, a guidepost for lost travelers on their all-so-important trek to tantalizing, treasure-filled locales. But the lodge always needs a keeper, even one unwilling to stay for long. Through powerful magic, the lodge appears fresh and new despite its age and can sustain the life of its inhabitant for longer than normally possible. A human living in the lodge might live for 400 years, a guest forever to keep the loneliness at bay. That is creepy, but at the same time, so awesome. And it gives you like the background on the character. That's neat. Barbarian encampment. Barbarians often reside in hospitable places few people would dare to set into. This place is no exception. The barbarians have learned how to cope with the magic permeating this place, creating runes that, when worn, weaken the effects of the Forgetful Forest. They do not share this information with outsides editor. They do not share this information with outsides unless they prove themselves in a bout of ritual combat. It's not too bad. This is actually kind of a neat little thing. It just needs a better copy editor. Some of these are kind of generic, but this is a creepy location. I will totally say that. I will say that. This is Litwick's Guide to the Forgetful Forest, and I suspect it is like the first of like an entire series of this thing. So I'll put a link in the chat. I'll put a link in the chat. So that's 6 items that I selected for this week down. So 7 more to go, some of which are longer than others. I would say 8, except I don't think I'm going to get to their Once Were Dragons. So we'll continue on this one. Now for the OSR stuff. I know everybody likes OSR stuff, right? Am I right? Even if you're maybe tired of seeing the BX clone for like the 5th or 6th time this week. All right, Ye Old School Bloodbath, a tournament supplement. It's 4 pages. Designed for use with Old School Essentials. Old School Essentials, which I'm still working on my review of. I'm enjoying it. I don't think it's the be-all and end-all of OSR stuff. My initial take is that it is very good, though. And it has quickly become my reference. Before this, it was Labyrinth Lord. Now I'm kind of split between the two. I'm ending up using this more often just because it's a smaller book to carry around. Anyway, back to this. These rules are intended to be used to run Old School Essentials in a tournament environment. The goal is simple. Take a deadly trap, riddle, and monster-filled dungeon and then start chucking adventurers at it and see who makes it to the end alive while keeping a number of active participants to a manageable level, providing something to do with those waiting to play, and encourage a casual and fun sports-like environment. To really make this sing, you need 2 groups, contestants and audience members. Start with a minimum of 4 contestants at what feels like an appropriate level for the dungeon, and as they die off, the players switch places with a random audience member. That's neat. The purpose for the audience members is to root for their favorite contestant and sponsor them by having gifts sent to them inside the dungeon to give them an edge. I actually thought about what would be a neat game, like video game, would be like a... Have you ever played the game Dungeon, like the old board game Dungeon from TSR? It was a board game wherein the characters... It was not a role-playing game or a role-playing game light like HeroQuest, but rather it had like a dungeon corridors with rooms laid out on a big board. And each player picked a hero, and the idea was to go in and get as much treasure as you could and then get out and it had monsters and traps, like monster and trap cards in the dungeon, and you could work with the other players to defeat those monsters, and yet you were still competing with those players about getting the treasure out. And I thought what would be neat, and this seems very much like it, is like a video game thing where you go in, like some sort of video game where you have like teams of RPG, maybe a roguelite or something. I want to say roguelike, but like a roguelite, because this would be like a real quick thing, where the idea is to get in and get treasure and get out, but in order to get treasure, you have to work together. So it is cooperative at first and then turns competitive as they get out. I think that would be fun to play, and this seems like something very much like that. Referees should encourage a party-like atmosphere. As long as the contestants and the referee can hear each other, no harm, no foul. Everyone that comes to the event should either bring a character made at the appropriate level or choose from those provided pre-gens. To aid in getting things moving faster, we've included kits for everyone to start their character with. Contestants begin the dungeon with only the equipment they bring in. More can be discovered, stolen, or provided by audience members. When a contestant dies, they trade places with a randomly chosen audience member and are given points to spend, and the new contestant joins the tournament at the beginning. Any points not spent are lost. So this would require a large number of players in order to do. Because you're going to have some players actually in the dungeon and some players out of the dungeon. If death occurs in the middle of a combat, wait for combat to conclude before introducing the new contestant. If a TPK occurs, introduce a number of new contestants equal to the starting party. The winner is the first one to the end. If more than one makes it, then the carried treasure is calculated. Whoever has the most wins. You see that? If more than one makes it, they compare the treasure, and whoever has the most wins. That's exactly what I was saying before. Whether it's tabletop or video game version, that just sounds neat. All traps reset automatically within 2 turns. Aside from the starting room, there are no additional light in the dungeon except what is brought by the contestants. When they choose to spend their points, an audience member will write on a slip of paper how many points they want to spend, how they want to spend them, and who the items will be given to, and hand it to the ref. The ref tolls and allocates the items and then announces that someone is sending a prize to the contestant, but does not announce what it is. Didn't one of those streamers? I know there was a, I forget who was doing. I know there was somebody that was streaming D&D a while back. I don't remember who, but they were having like audience participation on Twitch or whatever, where people could pay to throw things at the party. This seems like that, except instead of traps and such, it would be boons. So this just makes me want to try something like that, like on a streaming platform. I don't have a big enough audience to really bring the eyes for it, though. And quite frankly, I'm not a good enough DM to really do it. But audience members can buy helpful items for their favorite contestant. Each audience member is given 4 points. There's no way to gain more points, except if I was doing it on YouTube or something, I would totally do it. It's like super chats and shit. Why? Because why not? YouTube puts that functionality there. I don't see why I shouldn't use it. Once an item is sent, there is no reversing the request. How the item reaches the player is determined by the referee. If doing a funnel dungeon, like those popular in Dungeon Crawl Classics, use first level characters. Adjust level to less than either the stated or assumed level required for the dungeon you are using for the tournament. If using a dungeon that has rolled treasure, make sure to include useful equipment, magic items, or potions. When using traps, telegraph and try to provide difficult challenges, not gotcha traps. Pull no punches on failure and make it spectacular. This sounds like something I want to do. I just want to do something like this now. Would anybody watch that? I don't know if I could get enough players to do that, though. I might have to consult with my supporters. I will see if they want to like participate in something like this. Yeah, there's no rules. I mean, it says it's designed for old school essentials, but there's no real rules here. I mean, there's no game rules. All of these are like just event rules. Anyway, this is Ye Old Bloodbath. That was worth reading. Here you go. Link is in the chat. I still have to go back and figure out how to approve these things in my videos. What's next? Let's go with Hygromantea. Hygromantea? No, I wouldn't have. No, here's the thing. That's the kind of thing that a larger YouTuber would have to do. I totally get you. But it would be interesting to see what happened. I'm sorry, I got like bit or something here. It'd be interesting to see what happened. I could tell you that much. Hygromantea. What was I looking for here? Hygromantea? I don't know how to pronounce this. Do I even have this? I know here we go. I do, yes. Hygromantea. How do you spell that? How do you pronounce that? Yeah, D&D competition style is awesome, man. There needs to be more of it. I feel like that really brings to life the real old school style. So this is a supplement. This is supplemental rules, and there's 19 pages of this, so I'm not going to go through all of it. Some supplemental rules for medieval authentic role-playing games. I've played one. Well, I haven't played one of those, but I've looked through one of those. It's called Lion and Dragon. I think that's actually mentioned in here. Yeah, compatible with Lion and Dragon and Dark Albion. Those are from RPG Pundit. I am not gonna say anything about his stuff because I might offend like half the people here. I enjoy watching his videos. A lot of people are going to hold that against me. I enjoy watching his videos, but I really like Lion and Dragon. I need to cover it. I need to review it on my channel. So Lion and Dragon, for those who don't know, is an old OSR role playing. I just got sent a message on Discord. Give me a moment. Never mind. That was just somebody posting me a meme. I need to get a Discord up for the channel. Anyway, Lion and Dragon. Lion and Dragon is an OSR authentic medieval fantasy game. It's basically like old school D&D rules, but set in a fictionalized version of Northern Europe, specifically. Well, for instance, the Dark Albion one is specifically around Britain, but it is interesting. Let's say that I like it. I really need to cover it. Anyway, this is an updatable fanzine dedicated to OSR medieval authentic tabletop role playing games. And they have a point here. I really like this, the way that they put this. More importantly, this is a work of fiction. Even the occasional historical figure, location, or institution presented here are described in an entirely fictional manner. You've got to put that up in things nowadays. Reality is often much worse. That is important. People forget how brutal things are historically. People have it too good nowadays. Like on I'm not saying everybody, but like on general some people have it too good nowadays. Like I guarantee you that I would be like at my age I would probably be like nearing death by now. Back in the Middle Ages. Like, oh, do you want to go back into the medieval period? No, hell no, I don't want to. I'll enjoy the arms and armor, and I will stay here and enjoy my fast food and my modern my modern health care and my ability to put my AC on and not die of exhaustion. This supplement is aimed at GMs and players who seek a medieval authentic game experience. A GM planning to run such a game should carefully consider not just the mechanics of the game, but also the implications of the setting in things like currency and equipment, law and justice, and the supernatural, to make sure that the players note the ways of this experience differ from other fantasy RPG settings in order to reproduce a more authentic medieval genre. Yeah. Yeah. Nice hot bath every day. Yeah. Oh man, and it's hard. It is hard to get modern players, even ones with like backgrounds in history, like into some historically based RPG settings. My 5th edition OSR game, my 5th edition OSR game, Black Ridge Barony, I kind of have it set during like a it's not historical per se, but it's very much inspired by like the early 100-Year War period. And I have it kind of partially inspired by like Berserk. Yeah. In the people right now just want to water down history and erase history, but you have to know where you've been. However brutal and maybe offensive and maybe like disturbing it is, you have to know where you've been so that you don't go back there and that you can improve going forward. Because if you don't have a background on what you've got, then there's no way to know how you're improving. And people just don't do that. So I think stuff like this Lion and Dragon and stuff like Dark Albion, the Rose War, and things like historically based gaming, even though it's not real history, it helps take the concepts and bring them home. Yeah, to take those concepts and bring them home, and realize how good things are now. The Black Ridge Barony stuff. I got half of my group were just going in thinking it was like just like a standard fantasy setting, even though I spent literally 2 hours telling them it wasn't. And that was fun. And what was really fun is the one guy that had the most problems wrapping his head around a genre-specific character was the one guy that also had a degree, like a history degree. Like he had a background in history. He was going to become a historian, and yet he had trouble like wrapping his head around the setting. Oh yeah. I'll tell you that. I completely agree, man. Man, my ass would be on a stake being burned in the medieval period. Although maybe not. I know when to keep my mouth shut. I know when the burning times start to keep my mouth shut and my head down. That's why my YouTube channel is still around. Lion and Dragon has a very simple and fast system for leveling up characters, where upon level up, the player can choose one single benefit from the list on the class table or roll randomly for 2 benefits to keep both. So this gives you ideas for multi-class characters in Lion and Dragon, which are not in the base system. Benefits not listed for while efficient, the system leads to the GM grant opportunities for characters from certain classes to obtain benefits not listed in their classes. While this is not a problem, nothing stops the GM from granting such an opportunity to the player or the fighter. Okay. So this is the option to specifically lay out those optional rules. Yeah, man, Berserk is just awesome, man. I love Berserk. I also take cues from Goblin Slayer. I actually like the Goblin Slayer manga better than the series, and I really loved the series. Oddly enough, I couldn't get into the Song of Ice and Fire series. I really need to try again. I just don't read enough. Or it's like I read and then I read. It's bad now, man. I read a fiction book and I feel bad while I'm reading it because I'm not reading something I need to do for the channel. That's where I'm at right now, and that's not a good place to be in. So pre-generated characters. So they give you some pre-generated characters that are compatible with the Lion and Dragon system. They give you a random ethnicity and alignment. Ethnicity, they've got the Kimmery, the Anglish, the Scotsman, and the Exotic. That's the other thing I thought was hilarious about Lion and Dragon, was that being Welsh was like a character class. Or whatever. It was hilarious, man. I love that idea. Well, what are you? Well, I'm a fighter. What are you? I'm a Scotsman. It's a really good setting. The Game of Thrones stuff. Yeah, it's a really good setting. I appreciate the setting, even though I'm not a huge hyper fan of it. But I appreciate it. One can appreciate something without being a big fan of it. Level 0. Yeah, these are just like stats for quick use characters. Beatrice. Neutral, city-born, Anglish, level 0. Strength 13, Dexterity 11, Constitution 16, Intelligence 13, Wisdom 8, Charisma 10. Got 6 hit points, AC 15, because Lion and Dragon uses an ascending AC, which is just fine. I don't mind OSR systems with ascending AC. Basic to hit is +1 melee or +0 range, because I think Lion and Dragon very much limits the amount to hit, if I remember right. I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that, but I think that it very much limits the chance to hit with things. And then she's got skills, urban lore, wool worker. She speaks English and Frankish. See, this is the kind of... so her money is 8 shillings and 25 pence. So this is the kind of characters that you would see in that game. Yeah. Yeah, the Lovecraft stuff. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's like I'm a huge fan of Lovecraft, but I can totally get why somebody wouldn't play it. And what I respect is the people that can understand like the draw of Lovecraft, even if they don't necessarily like it, you know? Yeah, human-centric campaigns can be really fun to play. They can be fun to run, especially with people that don't like human-centric campaigns. Like the people that want to be that like monster character, and then they roll up and they end up getting chased out of town. But you're not letting me play. Well, I didn't ask you to play a damn orc. The poor fellow knight soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon, also known as the Order of Solomon's Temple, the Knights Templar, or simply the Templars, or a Catholic military organization. So, wait, this gives you the rules for Knights Templar in this particular game. Neat! It's not a class, but rather it's like a template that you qualify for. I like that idea. And you know what I like most about that idea is I like how they do it. I don't know if you've played... Oh, crap. Do I even have it? Yeah, no. Yeah, I do. Paladin. I need to review this. This has been on my review list for like a long time. I need to review this. The way they've got it in Paladin and Paladin and Pendragon. This is Pendragon. I've got Paladin over there. The way they do it in those systems is that things like knightly orders and such are things that you join. They're not classes, and you have to qualify for them. And then they give you bonuses based on your qualifications. So that is the same thing you're looking at here. You got Knights Hospitaller for the Lion and Dragon. Got Teutonic Knights. So each one of these gives you requirements, rules, and then gives you bonuses when you're in it. Like the Knights Hospitaller, is that who I have no idea how to pronounce that, by the way. It gives you a +1 combat bonus with one type of weapon, +1 horsemanship skill, +1 theology skill, +1 new lore, or +1 to an existing lore. So long as you... And those are just benefits that you can pick from. So in addition to your class benefits, you can also pick from one of these or roll when you level up. I like that. Nightfall characters. Nightfall is a historical fiction drama television series that recounts the success, fall, persecution, and suppression of the Knights Templar, is orchestrated by King Philip of France. What is that on? I have not heard of. I mean, I've heard about that. Is that Nightfall? I've heard about it, but I have no idea what it's on. Is it worth watching? Nightfall is 2017. What is it on? Is this something I need to pay for? Is this something I need to pay for? Oh, it's on the History Channel. No wonder I stopped watching cable. I'll have to... Or it was on the History Channel. I'll have to look that up sometime. Alright. And it just gives you different... It just gives you characters from the series statted out for Lion and Dragon, in case you want to run that series. All in all, that's not a bad supplement. This is Hygromania. Hygromania. And I have no idea what that means or how it's pronounced. I will put a link in the chat. Excellent system, Lion and Dragon. I need to review it. I need to review a lot of things. I need to get off my butt and make videos. Alright, next is the Shifting Sands. The Shifting Sands. What do we got here? Here we go, the Shifting Sands. Finding the right PDF can be troublesome sometimes. Alright, this is The Shifting Sands by Joseph Moore, and I could have sworn that I've covered something by Joseph Moore before. It's an Osric adventure for characters of the levels 5 to 7. It's 38 pages. I'm not going to go in depth on this one. I'm just going to do a quick overview. This one is, I believe it is pay what you want. In fact, all of these have been pay what you want tonight, except 50 Winter Encounters, which was free. Let me see if it's still pay what you want, because I covered one, Pay What You Want, a while back, and it turned into an actual price product. Alright, yeah, it's Pay What You Want. From Old School Roleplaying. And they've got a blog over at oldschoolroleplaying.com. I need to do something with rpgcrawler.com. I've got a stack of stuff to do and no time to do it. And somebody just messaged me. There we go. I am a one-man show here, so I've got 30 video ideas, and it takes me forever to do any one video. So, the Jural Empire is an old land with a long history. Over the centuries, the desert land has been ruled by cruel and ruthless men. Of these rulers, perhaps the worst was Emperor Nukuku. Nukuku? I don't know how to pronounce that. There's no vowel. I would like to buy a vowel, please, Pat. It is said that he died nearly 1,000 years ago, and that his tomb was lost in the desert sands of his empire. It is well known that he accumulated incredible riches during his lifetime. Most stories say that he took much of this with him to the grave. What the desert takes away, it sometimes gives back again. So say the nomads of the eastern desert of Jural. And what that desert gives, it soon takes back. Time is, therefore, of the essence. Recent sandstorms have uncovered a massive pyramid in the eastern desert of the empire. Could this be the tomb of Nukuku? I want to give props to the editing, except for this overuse of ellipses. Editing other than that is great so far. Word use, sentence structure, love it. This adventure is written for up to six characters. So if I want to throw like one character in there, that's cool. Of 5th to 7th level of experience. The Dungeon Master should add or take away monsters from the encounters to increase or decrease the difficulty as needed for play. Except that if you're trying to make this, as generic as the SRD requires, you should probably use Game Master. I'm not going to hold that against you, though. The adventure is set in my campaign world, which is their campaign world, certainly not mine, of Zanzia, but could easily be moved to some other place with the desert land. The adventure can begin when the party has reached the border with the Jural Empire. This border is nothing but an unmarked desert which extends far beyond the horizon in every direction. The pyramid will be covered up again by another sandstorm soon, so that gives you a set amount of time to explore it, which is, interestingly enough, what was supposed to happen in the Lost City was the city was supposed to be covered up again. Although I don't think that they actually include that. There are no towns near the pyramid. The closest town of any size is more than 100 miles across the desert. There is, however, a small oasis about a mile from the pyramid. This oasis is typically uninhabited by 3 to 30 desert nomads. These nomads are not hostile, etc., etc. So it's a 5-level pyramid. You know what this makes me want to do is run Necropolis. Any of you heard of that one? It's a Gygax module from like his Dangerous Journeys or whatever series. I could be wrong about. I'm probably wrong about the name of it. It also had a 3.5 edition one put out by was it Swords and Sorcery or Necromancer Games or whatever. I need Necromancer. I hate to say this, but that adventure is like decent. I want to see it adapted either to true OSR or like a more modern system. It's stuck in like 3.5 limbo. Yeah, it's actually pretty. I've read through it. I've never run it though. It's pretty solid. I just wish that Gygax's stuff wasn't stuck in like rights holding hell. His estate is all over the place with the rights on those things. I would love to see Frog God Games give it a shot at converting it to like Swords and Wizardry and 5th edition. Much as I may bash on 5th edition. Adventure hooks / rumors. There are many possible ways to introduce this adventure to the players. The easiest way, of course, is to let them know about the newly discovered tomb from a rumor at the tavern or from some other likely source. So you've got your old school rumor table, which tells you true or false and gives you random rumors. Yeah, 3. I want to amend that. I don't know if it was 3.5. I think it might have been 3rd edition, but you know how 3rd edition stuff can be adapted to 3.5. Actually, I think I've got I think I've got a quote unquote version I can look at. Let me focus on this. I might have to cover it sometime. I might have to pick up a copy and cover it sometime. Isn't it available on Drive-Thru-RPG? Now I'm curious about that. God damn it! I'm trying to. I'm trying to. There you go. Gary Gygax's Necropolis is available from Necromancer Games on Drive-Thru-RPG for $11.99 for the PDF. It is designed for. Oh my God, Necromancer Games! Why do you make the thumbnail so freaking small? I'm an old man. I can't freaking read. It's for 3rd edition, not 3.5. Ouch. Yeah, it is for 3rd edition, not 3.5. But you can use 3rd edition stuff in 3.5. You just have to adapt it. No, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I only do these streams. I like these quick look streams. They give me a chance to talk RPGs. I want to put more tabletop RPG stuff on my channel, but it takes me so long to produce it. And just talking to a camera, I can do that, I guess. But it takes me so long to produce relatively poor quality reviews. I've got a flip through of Maximum Mayhem Dungeon stuff coming up either Sunday or Tuesday, maybe. Because they got a Kickstarter on reprints, and that was just me talking about stuff. Like, I've already covered 3 of their things in proper reviews, and it was just me looking through their, because they gave me physical copies of their stuff because they're doing a reprint campaign. So I was just basically looking through those. That's the kind of stuff I should put more of out. Anyway, let's go back to this. Let's look at the maps. It gives you the maps at the end. You got the Great Pyramid of Nakaka. Yeah. Yeah, that's why these take so long, is because the back and forth discussion. I enjoy it. I just can't do it all that often. Would that I could. I feel like my channel would have done better if I just stuck to just tabletop stuff or just computer stuff. So they've got this pyramid. It is designed like a pyramid. It's the ground level, second level, which is thankfully smaller than the ground level. And then you've got the third level, fourth level, and fifth level, getting smaller and smaller as you go up. I like that. So it's designed with some realism in mind. Not a lot of realism, because if you look at the top level, there's a freaking balcony. There is a balcony on this pyramid. All right, well, let me take a look at the new magic items. The heart of Ral. The sun god Ral is an evil god. His worshippers follow a path of cruelty and wickedness. Anyone in possession of this black stone amulet may discover that it is harmful as it is helpful to them. Powers and side effects. One who wears this amulet can command undead followers of Ral. Each time this power is used, however, the person doing so has a 10% cumulative chance of changing alignment to lawful evil and becoming a follower of Ral. The wearer of the amulet has a 50% resistance to the level-draining effect of undead. The wearer of the amulet begins taking on the features of undead creatures. Each day, he or she will begin to take on a skeletal appearance. Within a week, all skin will have left the body, and the person wearing the amulet will look completely like a skeleton. The wearer of the amulet can animate dead twice daily. These undead creatures will follow the wearer perpetually. The wearer loses 1 point of charisma every day that the amulet is worn. These points can be recovered, but only if the amulet is destroyed. Not taken off, destroyed. All right, take care. Yeah, I need to come up with a Discord for this channel, man. I really do. The only reason I haven't so far is that I'd have to find a moderator for it, because I already stay up damn near 24/7. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it. And the last thing I need is for Discord to ban me. All it takes is one bad apple to ruin it for everybody. Once per week, the wearer of the amulet can cast a death ray equal to Finger of Death. Saving throws apply. Destruction of the amulet. So it's like an artifact. It's not just an amulet. You got Potion of Positive Energy, Potion of Sand Breath, Potion of Sand Giant Strength. And now I'm having flashbacks to like EverQuest in like 2000. The Sand Giants in EverQuest. Yeah, let's... If you're familiar with them, you know why I'm kind of laughing inside. Alright, there will be no random encounters in the desert. The deepest parts of the desert are visited by few people. Encounters will happen in the tomb itself. You've got a random encounter table for the tomb, which mostly consists of undead, an air elemental, dust elemental, or dust devil, and a dun pudding. None of these are statted out because these are all standard creatures except for the specific High Priest of Ral. As the party travels across the scorching desert, you've got a ground level, sand-covered stairs, 2 flights of stairs leading up to an opening. You've got a hallway, southern towers, nothing really interesting in there. This is for levels what? What levels? 5 to 7? And their first encounter is with a single skeleton. Although it is made to give warning to those within. So that has 2 purposes. First, a nervous group may alpha strike that skeleton, and number 2, it will alert everybody else in the tomb. That's diabolical. I love it. This section of the hallway has 2 alcoves on either side. In the northern alcove lies a crumbled statue. In the southern alcove is a statue of a great warrior. The warrior wears a turban over its head and eyes and wears a fierce-looking scimitar. Close searching this crumbled statue in the north may reveal a fine piece of jade worth 100 gold pieces. So you got a little bit of gems. The door to this room is locked. Inside there are tools used by workers who built this place. 2 functional hooded lanterns, but the oil is long since dried up. A worker's burial crypt with like 30 zombies. So you like open this crypt and it just zombies pile out. And that's room 7. What's room 7? What's room 7 look like? Room 7 is not big. It's a 20 by 20 foot room with like 30 zombies. I love it. It's not quite standing room only zombies, but if you wait, it's a. If you were doing that in 5th edition and like everything required, there's actually more than standing room only zombies. If you were using the token layouts for like a later version of the game. That's what I love about OSR stuff. It's like you open this room, and it's like a 10 by 10 foot room or a 20 by 20 foot room, and it's got like 40 goblins in it. And they're just like wedged. It's like somebody took a shoehorn and wedged all these goblins in this room, and you open the door and then they spill all out. Same here with zombies. You open this door and 30 zombies pile out of this 20 by 20 foot room. All right, let's see. Anything else interesting here? You got a wraith. Pretty standard for old school stuff. A ring of protection versus stone guardians. I take it that's specific to this thing. I'll take a look at it. Got a hallway that's just got mummy wrappings down the end. Got a shrine to Rawl, which has all kinds of offerings. But if you take them, then the exits get blocked and sand begins to fill it. Classic pyramid-style booby trap. I like this. I'm not going to go into it more. The shifting sands, it's not a bad adventure. It's really old school, though. It's really old school. Here, let me put a link to it in the chat. I'm beginning to flag, so I'm gonna cover a couple more things. I'm gonna cover the last of the OSR stuff that I'm gonna cover for the night, and that is Dungeon Delving Brown Box Edition. I'm gonna go real quick through it. Yeah, I saw that, man. I've played that. You bust open this little hole and then just all these hunchbacks pour out. I love that. I need to put that in a tabletop game. The only problem is if I put it in a tabletop game, people will just farm it for experience. I'm looking for Dungeon Delving Brown Box. I've got it on my system. Here we go. All right. So Dungeon Delving is another 0th edition clone. It is available in 2 versions. A pay what you want version with no art, except for the cover, and then a very, very inexpensive version with art inside. And what it is basically 0th edition but cleaned up and made into a okay role-playing game. I say that as somebody who likes 0th edition. Now, how this differs from Swords and Wizardry, which is another 0th edition clone, is that this particular one is a more accurate clone. And I'm not going to go into it in detail because I have already looked through it. I need to do a proper review on it sometime. I may have to do that. But it's got your jousting rules in, which Swords and Wizardry didn't. I believe, yeah, it's got the optional combat rules, but then it's got some additional stuff in it. And I don't know if those are actually... Here's the thing about it. I am familiar with 0th edition, but I am not familiar with all the optional rules from like all of the expansions. So these optional classes, I think those are added by other things. And there's like a virtues and vices thing. So this is expanded from 0th edition. So it's not... It's like 0th edition plus. Like the core rules are more accurate. But then the optional rules, they kind of expand on the system. They give you an option to add like feats. They give you shield wall tactics. They give you the ability to overrun opponents. And it's got optional rules to make it more modern. Although if you're playing an OSR system, I don't know why you'd want to make it more modern. Got your psionics rules. And some of this stuff Like, the usage dice is from really modern systems. I kind of like usage dice to a point. And if you don't know what usage dice is, it's like in a system, in a classic old school system, you have to keep track of every arrow. You've got various amounts of rope and food, and you basically tick them off, and you end up with a bunch of tick marks behind stuff, or you end up like constantly having to correct your character sheet. What usage dice do is they give you a dice, right? And anytime you use a particular item, whether it be pull an arrow out or something, then you roll a die. And if it rolls a 1 or 2, then you reduce that die to the next step down. And eventually you get to a D4, and if you roll a 1 or 2 on that, that means you're out. So this ends up with being high, making for high variability in the number of items that you can pull out of your pack. It presumes that the character is constantly picking up spares and putting them in their pack so that they don't have to immediately announce that. And it allows for this idea that characters that are in a dungeon or in a stressful situation may forget stuff. Like, you may pick all your stuff up, think it's packed, just like in the real world, and then get to your destination and go, oh crap, I left that out by the bushes while I was taking a leak, and now I'm out of it, you know? So that does give for a greater degree of variability. So I do like it in some instances, although I think it does better in rule systems that are really rules light. Let me take a look at the treasure system. I need to go to page 1. Let me look at the treasure system real quick. All right, what's the treasure system? It gives you rules for generating a dungeon. Where is the treasure system? I want to see how the treasure system stacks up. All right, yeah, it uses this treasure types, which are similar to the 0th edition. One of the things I hated about the one I don't hate it, but one of the things I dislike about Swords and Wizardry is the treasure system, because instead of using the classic treasure types, they just presume that you get treasure based on the hit points of the stuff that you... Well, that's the whole thing about 0th edition stuff, is that usage dice... Well, here's the thing about usage dice. Yeah, the thing about usage dice is that it takes that sort of thing out of the DM's hands. You basically only use usage dice when you access your material. And everybody's subject to it. So instead of the DM like arbitrarily deciding that you had some lossage or whatever, it's just checked every single time you access a particular item, no matter what. And you can find some of your items broke. Maybe some of the stuff that you were sold was substandard. Like if you're using it for rations, maybe some of the rations went bad or whatever. Or maybe you managed to pack extras or whatever. And it's kind of that variability, and it takes it out of the DM's hands on that mode. So yeah, this system uses the treasure type system. It's a different version from 0E, just looking at it. The Swords and Wizardry just based treasure on either experience or hit points. Basically, when you fight monsters, the treasure is based on the experience that they give, rather than vice versa. It's got a multiplier on it, but they just presume that you're going to earn X amount of experience per X amount of monsters defeated, or X amount of gold per X amount of XP worth of monsters defeated. And I'm not a big fan of that system. It does give you tables to like sub things out, but I don't know about it. I'm not a huge fan. Anyway, this is an interesting system. It's not as simple as I thought it was just at first glance, but it's a pretty good version of 0E with some optional rules. It is available for free. I may review it, but I'm not going to run it. I will put a link in the chat. If I'm going to run old school, I'm going to run another old school thing, though. All right. So here I am on my other section. I am not going to cover There Once Were Dragons Starter Edition. There is a Starter Edition for There Once Were Dragons. It is free, but it's a huge system, and I'm flagging here. There are 3 other things I will cover. First is Vault Heist RPG One Shot. And Vault Heist RPG One Shot is just 2 pages. One of which apparently, okay, here we go. It is a system-neutral modular blueprint game master tips character options, created for run right play, which I believe is just a kind of like almost like game jam type of thing. And it's made to be pamphlet style. I don't know if you've seen those pamphlet style RPGs from the old days, but they would just be like a trifold, and you'd pull them out, and they'd have all the rules on there. So you got Phase 1, Crew Assembly, define the building type and vault contents. Montage a scene for each of the character being approached by the crew leader or another crew member if their relationship suits better. Focus on the vault contents, character motivators, and relationships. Specialties will shine in Phase 3. So this reminds me of Reservoir Dogs, or another heist movie. Phase 2, Planning. Encourage out-of-character discussion. Reveal a blueprint. Together, label all rooms and features unless you did this before the session. Discuss building obstacles and vault security. Introduce a time constraint for the heist itself. Or like Grand Theft Auto 5, where you've got the vice things, or the heist things. I wish I'd done more of that. I wish I'd done more of that. Phase 3, the heist. Establish the time constraint. Keep the tension high. Give each crew member a chance to showcase their specialties. Considering introducing a twist, just be careful not to undermine the player's efforts. Give each player the option to narrate an epilogue for their character after the adventure. So characters, choose 2 of their specialties. Infiltration, hacking, social engineering, gadgets, person on the inside, driving or piloting, sharpshooting, heist funding. So each character picks 2 of those. Motivators. Choose 1. I want revenge. I need to repay a debt. I want to test my skills. I need to impress someone. I'm being coerced. Dude, this is what I do. And don't ask me again. Connections. Choose 1 for your character to share with another crew member. So this is real rules light. Old prison buddies, lovers, special agents, master and apprentice, rivals, or family. The building. So basically you produce a blueprint. You decide who carries it and how did they get it. So you give it, the DM gives it to one of the players. Choose 1, a bank, casino, storage facility, mansion, or corporate tower. Choose 1 and discuss it in Phase 2 as far as obstacles. Underground, high tower, elite guards, very public. The vault, content, information you need for leverage. So it just tells you what the contents are. You choose 1. So it's like a pick and it's like a menu system where you pick these things. But and in terms of actually playing it out, it just uses whatever system that you're using. Or you do it through... There's no rules for this. So it's all the players just telling the DM what they want to do. So it's more like a storytelling game than an RPG. And there is a difference between the two. And there was a video done on it by somebody else recently. I forget who. I saw it. It might have been the Complex Game Apologist. Might have been somebody else. But there was... there was a whole thing on what makes a role playing. No, it wasn't the Complex Game Apologist. I like his stuff. I just no, this was somebody else. The name escapes me. Anyway, that was Vault Heist RPG One Shot. It's more a storytelling game than an RPG. I thought it was neat because, not for what it is, but rather for the process that it covers, which is planning and executing a heist, which is something that is overlooked in RPGs and something that I tried to do in my Goblin Gears campaign, which I need to restart it sometime with different players because it was awesome. But heist kind of role-playing is nice. Oh, do I even want to cover these last 2? Well, let's go to All Systems Nominal. It's a mech game. It's 4 pages. All right, very simple. 4 pages, one of which is a title and one of which is a character sheet. So it's 2 pages. So you choose a role. an ambusher, scout, assault, skirmisher, auxiliary, striker, or brawler. Each one gives you a action bonus. This one, for instance, gives a +2 to stealth when tested mobile. This one gives +4 to all stealth tests, and this is the chassis of your mech. It gives you your hit points for the mech, whether it's able to jump or not, what armor it has, the heat that it generates, and then the speed. A mech can be upgraded in the field with equipment found or recovered from the battlefield. And then it gives you expansion slots for each type of mech. Then you create a pilot. A starting pilot has a total of 5 points to distribute amongst the 5 abilities. Each ability starts at +2, and you cannot put more than 2 points to a single ability at this time. You got aim, which is how you aim. Balance, your ability to stay upright in the mech. Lead, your ability to command others in combat. Observe, your ability to locate the enemy. And stealth, your ability to remain concealed. Based on mission performance, your game master will provide each pilot with experience points. And improving ability costs the mathematical square of your current bonus +1. Great! Math. This creates the chart shown to the right, which is just listed here. But does it give you the rules? Yeah, it gives you the rules here. Active countermeasures can be deployed on your command via combat action. In contrast, automatic countermeasures will trigger if the conditions are met. So these are just various types of measures and what you need to trigger them and what effect they have on the field. Combat actions. During each turn, a mech can take 3 combat actions. You can choose to spend these actions as described on the table below. You cannot save actions between rounds. You can fire your mech's weapons. It generates 1 heat. Roll 1d20 plus aim versus armor. Hex is moved by the enemy, which gives you a built-in evasion type thing. Move. You move a number of hexes equal to your mech speed for each action spent. Generates heat listed in the mech description for each action spent. Fire costs 2, so you end up spending 2 of your actions on fire if you want to use it. Counter. Deploy active countermeasures, so from up here. Jump. Move a number of hexes equal to half your mech's speed value for each action. Gain up to 2 height for actions spent. This is like battle mech. It's just it abstracts it out. It abstracts it very rules light. Aim. Gain +1 aim per action spent. Gain +1 observe for your pilot per action spent, up to 3 per turn for looking around and then hiding. Active player rolling. Opposition. So if you want to aim, you roll your 1d20 plus your aim, which is up here, and is opposed by the armor plus the hex's move. Okay. And then if you fire, it tells you how to fire down here. Okay. If you choose to use your mech itself as a weapon to attack your enemy, if they are an adjacent hex, this is treated as any other attack in terms of calculation, except you can also add your balance rate into the attack roll. A hit deals 1d4 damage plus an extra 1d8 for brawlers. So this just tells you each weapon's range. Does it tell you the damage? It does not tell you the damage. So the damage is 1d4 damage for whatever you're firing. And this is like a really abstract. This is a really abstract version of like battle mech. This seems like a kind of thing where it's like I want to play battle mech, or I want to play BattleTech, but I don't want to, spend all night making a BattleTech character, so I'll just use this system. It feels like the mainstream RPGs want to move towards collaborative storytelling route with ease of use and low complexity. Not really my cup of tea. Not mine either. I completely agree with that assessment. There is a time and a place for collaborative storytelling, but I prefer my RPGs a little bit more straightforward. I prefer, in fact, in my Whose Story Is It? I touch on that in my upcoming Tabletops and Tavern episode, which will be released coming soon. I don't know when. Not my cup of tea, but I totally see what you're saying there. So that's all systems nominal. It's a simplified mech game. It doesn't actually look that bad. I feel like if I wanted to play a BattleTech game, I would either play BattleTech, Stars Without Numbers Deluxe 2nd Edition, or Lancer. I've heard really good things about Lancer. I have not actually had a chance to really look at it in depth, although I have looked at it. So it's supposedly a decent system. All right, on to my final thing for the night. Okay, this sucks. Okay. Yeah, I'm not even. I will cover the intro to this, and then I'm going to close it because I am running out of steam, and I'm not going to read 10 pages of hard text. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Lancer. It's got mech combat. It's got like Star Wars type combat. It looks neat. All right, PKD Fiction Gnosis Death is a rules light RPG of 1970s paranoid conspiracy and investigation. It includes a 5-page player's guide and a 5-page game master's guide of brutally efficient rules designed to plunge players into a terrifying vortex of unstable reality as they take on the role of an out-of-their-depth average Dick or Jane called from their mundane life to serve as cosmic cannon fodder in a conflict they neither started nor fully understand. I think what happened here is that I saw that idea and I thought it would be nice, but this looks like a style that is going to take a little bit too much concentration to cover on. I will put a link to it. Give me one moment. The link to this is Fiction Gnosis Death. It is a pay-what-you-want product. There's the link. And it is inspired by the works of Robert Anton Wilson, Thomas Pynchon, Ken Kesey, Stanislaw Lem, William S. Burroughs, Philip K. Dick, and others. So I think this is one of those ones where the style and the idea was appealing to me, so I stuck it in my RPG news, or my quick look. But now that I'm looking at it, this does look like it's going to take a little bit more thought than I'm willing to do right now, because I am really flagging. Oh, they've got a sample adventure that takes fully 2 pages out of 10 pages, or fully 1 page out of 10 pages. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into this. I invite you to check it out if any of those things that I just mentioned appeal to you. For now, I think I'm going to go. Oh crap! I can't even go sleep. I've got a script to write. Oh my god! I'm gonna go write a script now. For Indie Game Friday for tomorrow. I am covering. I hope you have enjoyed watching this. I will do another of these again when I gather enough free / pay what you want stuff to take a couple hours with, which is usually once a month, give or take a week or two, depending on the flow of stuff. I will be putting out that quick flip through of Maximum Mayhem Dungeons physical stuff on Sunday or Tuesday, depending on when I am. I have a video talking about what constitutes a computer role-playing game or not that has been sitting on my hard drive waiting for a final edit pass for a week and a half now, and I just haven't sat down to it. As soon as I can, I'm going to get that. And I will start getting some of the Tabletops and Taverns Series 3 up. Oh, God, when my schedule clears. And I've still got to do... I've got Old School Essentials review coming up, and it's been coming up for a week and a half. It's been coming up for 2 weeks now, and I haven't been able to get it out because things have been hell here. I'm in Texas. And we froze for like a week, and I know people up north were laughing, but it was like real bad because we're not designed for that kind of thing. My house loses heat like crazy, so I will be looking into that. So it took me like most of the week to get all the plumbing back working and such. Oh yeah, man. That's what I never did my masters, but that's one of the reasons. It's part That's part of the reason why, and part of the reason why is because I was already old when I got my the degree I have. So I was like, do I want to go even further into debt to get something that I'm never going to be able to pay off? So yeah, so I will take care. You guys take care. Thank you for watching. This has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment, got any feedback, subscribe for more RPG content. I've been pushing my Patreon and my Subscribe Star stuff. They both give you early access to my videos, not my like weekly videos, but like the other videos, like my specials and my reviews and other stuff, and now my Let's Plays. And I think I give that to my channel members too, so membership on the channel helps too. Anyway, until next time, I just appreciate you guys watching. I just appreciate every watch. Like, if you don't, I can't overstate that. Actually, I'm going to stop that right here. I go on about ways to support me, but to be honest, the single best way to support my channel, like at all, is to watch at least one of my videos a week all the way through. Hopefully something that, like, you know, appeals, either the RPG News Roundup or whatever, if Let's Plays aren't your thing, and like either leave a like or a comment on it. And that will help me at this point an indescribable amount, because YouTube is YouTube, and YouTube can go screw itself, honestly. Anyway, until next time, take care and goodbye, and thank you for watching.